fat in they pocket. So many hustle for the cash, so it's hard to knock it. Everybody got their own thing, currency chasing worldwide through the hard times.
Well, hello. God bless you, community family, and welcome to Gang Talk with Sister Herron and Skipp Townsend. If you've been following us, that we come here every Thursday to have this very important community conversation with our families, because this is family business. And as we're about to discuss tonight, our little community is smaller than a lot of us even realize, and it's time for us to wake up and see each other. So it's a blessing and an honor to be on this side of our struggle. And Skipp, we're happy that you're our co-host.
Well, Sister Herron, I'm happy that God has allowed me to be the co-host. I give all honor and praise to God. I'm truly grateful to be alive. I am not dead or in jail, and I don't want to wake up one day and ever be dead or in jail. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here and thankful.
And we're happy you're alive and out of jail, too.
Right.
Okay, and that's the whole part of it, the recovery from the darkness that we've experienced. So it's not funny for us, but it's a reality that we face, and too many of our men have been caught up in the system, Skipp, that you say is not a system intended for us.
Right.
Okay, not for us or our people. So it's our usual practice to thank our guests from last week first.
You know what, sister? This time I remember. I remember it was Jaye Person Lynn who said that we have the right to remain silent.
Yes.
Exercise your right whenever you are pulled over by the police department. Yes. And also David Moore, who promised us that he will definitely think about running for district attorney because there is a need for transparency in that department. Yeah. So I'm truly grateful. David Moore, Jaye Person Lynn. Jaye is very colorful. He's a character, and
well, when you want to be an attorney in this city, you have to be something.
Right.
Okay, you can't be quiet and submissive and over in the corner unnoticed.
Right.
So a lot of that's required because of the things that he has to do. And the one thing that was fun about David is not from our community, but he sure tried to fit in. And we had a lot of laughing with that young man, and he did ask us to give his people a chance.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So we appreciate both attorneys for coming to give us some advice on our legal rights, because that is critical for us to know. And as you said, Jaye said, the most important thing is you have the right to remain silent.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so that show is posted on YouTube if you want to go listen to it and find out some things you didn't know.
Right.
So we're really appreciative for them coming last week. Now, this week, it's special, as I've been posting all week. This is about that 25th anniversary that everybody hates to remember but can't forget. And that's April 29th, 1992.
Right.
And I have no doubt that all of us that live in our community knew where they were at that moment that they heard the verdict. And so, Skipp, I want you to do the honors and introduce our special guest tonight.
I would not want to do the honors and introduce him because I would leave out something as we were talking in the parking lot. Just to let you guys know that he is definitely the face of 1992, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Okay.
Who are you, sir?
Excuse me. How you guys doing?
All right.
Glad you're here.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. My name is Henry Keith Watson.
Right.
Family and friends call me Kiki.
Yes, sir, Kiki. So, of course, your face has been blasted all over the TV, all over the news. I want to say international, world news. Very famous for showing your emotions, brother. That's what it was. It was showing your emotions 25 years ago, and when your emotions were showed, it became world news, brother. So, if you don't mind, brother, speak to us a little bit about, tell me this, man, what were you doing prior to that? Because that to me is so important. We could talk about the uprising, talk about what went on, but, what was your life like before that?
Yes.
I was married with children.
Right.
I was working 2 jobs.
And you know what's so important about that is that people will have a stereotype.
Yes.
And I've heard, matter of fact, I was at Community Coalition on a panel with Karen Bass, and one of the ladies who was on the panel as well say that she came through that intersection and she was harassed by the thugs. You know, and I said, when you use that type of term, you know, you never know who you're talking about. So here, now let me do the introduction. This is Henry Keith Watson, who, and I know something else about him, very close to his mom. And I know what you did for your mom in her dying days, that he was there. He was that guy. He was that guy. So, married man, very close with family. One of the few individuals in the community who was raised by a father as well.
Yes.
You know, so this is a human being. This is definitely not a thug. And
Yes.
my apologies, brother. I didn't mean to do that. But
It's a hard time.
Today is my mother's birthday, so
yes,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I didn't even know that, brother.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Yes, indeed.
Look how close we are to these things.
But
that
people want to
affect
say that's a
us.
thug, a married man working 2 jobs.
You know, this is one of the reasons why we don't just let anybody speak to us.
Right.
Okay, because your assumptions and your assessments are so far away from who I really am, it's almost an offense for you to even try to talk to me that way.
Right.
You know,
Excuse me.
and as I was agreeing with Kiki, we're still angry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
I see those tears, but the anger is still there, and it's been 25 years later. And the truth of it is that in the interim of 1992, what progress have we made when there's been a Ferguson and a Charlotte and a killing, Eric Garner and Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin? We're
Right.
still angry.
Right.
Okay, and we're still trying to find the justice. As I was sorry to mention to Kiki in the parking lot, our police force that is here to protect us killed 4 of our young men in a 3-month time frame last summer.
Right.
And all 4 of those young men were under 21 years old.
Right.
Okay, so now you didn't beat him like Rodney. You just shot him down and killed
Right.
him, sent him straight to the morgue.
Right.
So when you say things have changed, what?
They changed for the worse.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the question I'm having. And
Yeah.
so as people want to put these documentaries on and blame us,
It's like reverse psychology.
ooh,
Right.
hasn't it
They're
always
trying to
been?
make it seem like we acted out for no reason.
Right.
We acted out, but there was a reason.
Definitely.
Right.
Okay.
Can I do something real quick, sister? So
Please.
we have a caller on the phone, and let me tell you, during this time of the uprising, there was also a movement going on in Watts.
Yes.
And the movement was that of peace treaty.
Right.
And I just want to give credit to Dwayne Holmes, Snipe, his mother, Teresa Allison, a guy named Bull. Bull should be joining us shortly. There were individuals, Tony Bogart, Cedric out of the Jordan Down Projects, Sister Soldier, number of people, Dawu, Sherelle's, number of people who helped manifest this.
Yes.
However, this one individual was talented, and he was able to paint a picture for us to listen to and see exactly what that is. And this gentleman's name is Cam. Cam, you on the line?
Yeah, I'm on the line. Peace to everybody on the line.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Cam.
Truly appreciate you, brother. So glad you could make it. Let me greet you with the assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam. Greeting words of peace in our original language. That's all it is. It just means peace be unto you.
Yes, sir. So let me ask you, brother, during this time, what motivated that song? Because, to be honest with you, that was the first song I ever heard from you. It was later when I started listening to Camnesia and all the other songs that and especially the one, oh man, I ain't even gonna say that song, but that song was hard. It might have been disrespectful to some people, but you had one song that was just super hard. I think you and DJ Pooh put that together, and
Yeah, definitely.
right.
Yeah.
So, what motivated you, brother, to do this, the song, the Peace Treaty?
Just what you said. I mean, it was the most historic thing I ever seen in my life up until 1995 with the Million Man March. But prior to that, the truce, just to see, especially the homies in Watts and the projects in particular, to see the circumstances, it just reminded me of the Bible, circumstances of some dry bones in the valley coming together like that, you know, and motivated by outside, you know, a common enemy that had us come together like that and you know, put down the guns and hug and cry and, you know, recognize who we are and you know, recognize justice and injustice at the same time. Like, that just blew my mind. So I just happened to have hooked up with Ice Cube around that same time, and like a year before that, 1991, and we was working on my album, and one of the records on my album was a song called Watts Riot that me and Cube did. It's on my first album. So we wrote that before, you know, before the 92 uprising even happened. But once the Rodney King verdict and the riot or the uprising happened in 92, the very last song on the record the very last record song that I made for that album was Peace Treaty. Because, you know, it had just happened, but, you know, at that time, when you make a record, it might take months, it might even take a whole year before that album is released. So, you know, that Peace Treaty didn't come out until the end of 92.
Right.
You know, even though the riots happened in April, the single didn't come out to the end of 92 and the beginning of 93. But yeah, that, you know, that was like walking on the moon to me.
Right.
I thought it was impossible.
So listen, you come right off the streets of Watts, brother, right? Tell me exactly. Now, don't tell on yourself, but tell me where you was at, man. What was you doing, man? Did you don't tell me you went in one of them stores or something. Let me try to think what's not there anymore over in your area.
You have the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself.
I saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of people, you know, moving and shaking.
Yes.
They were upset.
But like I said, it wasn't. It was more, at least from my point of view, it was more like some end of the world survival stuff. Like I knew this was the end of the world. Like, it ain't gonna be no stores tomorrow. It ain't gonna be life as we know it is over with. So you may as well stock up on supplies or stock up on food and water. Well, that's what that was to me. That's what it was to me.
Right.
You know, it was crazy.
It was crazy because people were really very angry, outraged.
Yeah.
Let's just use those real fire words that we were responding to. I was in a rage myself, and listening to Cecil Murray and Tom Bradley on the little black and white TV where I was, I wanted to go throw a brick through somebody's window myself. But by 4:30, somebody beat me to it.
Right.
Okay.
So let me ask you, Cam, because so Kiki's here now. He's on Florence and Normandy at the time, or 71st, excuse me, and you know, people are in Watts at the time. Sister says she has people over here on King. And I was actually on my way to First AME Church.
Yeah,
I was trying to, you know, I mean, I was trying to do the right thing, right? But the homie, I'm going to put him out there, my homie Bistro from Fruitown, he was like, Skipp, man, get out the truck. Get out the truck, man. And he was the first one in Jack's Liquors, right? In Jack's Liquor store right there. So I was like, he said, Skipp, come get what you want. And I said, bro, I'm going to go to church, man. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to go to church. Because I didn't know it was going on all over the city. You know, Bistro is a leader. So I thought he had organized the youngsters but it was all over the city.
Everywhere.
And I didn't know that. And when I found out, then I took my cousin home and said, okay, now you go on. I got something I got to do. But how do you think that works, man? Was it I forgot the word. How did we all know at the same time we about to trip? How does that happen?
Like everybody was just upset, you know, all at once.
When we heard the verdict, hearing the verdict was the beginning of the flashpoint. It didn't matter what location it manifested. Hearing that verdict in our community became a flashpoint for all of us. We just were stunned. Even Mayor Bradley was stunned. And they're trying to say in this documentary I listened to, because I tried to refresh my memory and see how they were going to cover this, if there was going to be bias or truth. And
it's more propaganda.
Well, what they did, they showed the anger that Tom Bradley expressed about that verdict. And this particular documentary wanted to lay the blame at his feet. Right. That he contributed to the flash when he was just repeating the anger that his people felt.
Right.
You see, so it was a devastating time, and nobody really had the right answer. I'm sorry.
Right. So even though you're talking about Tom Bradley, I don't know if we had real representation that we could feel. You know, I wasn't on Florence and Normandy, and I wasn't in Watts at the time, but from where I'm from, I don't believe that we had even Cecil Murray. I don't, right now I love him, adore him like a father figure, but I don't believe that he represented who I was back in 1992. He didn't represent my mind. So who was representative of the community who had been beat up before by police, been harassed by police? Who was that person who represented us?
Well, I think in our area, Florence and Normandy, that the problem was, we had lack of proper representation. We were being overlooked. And the officials or the community leaders who were designated, they weren't doing their job. So it just spilled out into the streets.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, and I don't think Mayor Bradley was to blame for that.
Right.
And in fairness to Bradley, he got a lot of flack from our community because we didn't feel like he was giving us enough service for the first African-American mayor for the city.
I think his hands were tied a lot
They
of the
were.
times.
First
what could he do?
African-American mayor for this city, his hands were tied. And we're not the ones that put him in office,
Right.
you see. And so he tried to be fair for the whole city when it's our tendency, when we see a black man, we want something from them. Don't just be
Because
in
they
there.
represent us, though.
there
You
it
cannot,
is.
you
They're
cannot
supposed to.
represent me and not represent me.
Exactly.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the same
what
with,
the
with
conflict.
President Obama.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think he was able to touch on nearly any
I
issues.
think he waited. He waited till they couldn't do nothing about it. His last 4 or 5 months, he started going to these federal prisons, started walking with the inmates
Yes, he
and
did.
talking to them and freeing those he could. But I think so. It's still a system. No matter what my position is as a mayor, my position as a president, my position as a council member, I'm still a part of a system that does not support black people or represent the best interests of black people. So that leads me to right now to this day, who is the representation for the young people, the generation behind us? And Cam, if you're still on the line, what about the influence and I want to say these entertainers too? Do they have a right to, or they have an obligation? Is my word?
Yeah, right.
Do they have an obligation to be that true leadership and represent us?
I mean, I think we was all like that hip hop community in general. It just represents the voice of the voiceless, the dissatisfied masses of black and brown youth throughout America. Most of us didn't have no father figures anyway. It was the homies, it's the hood. That's why we was out there doing what we do. So, me personally, I had the positive leadership of Minister Farrakhan at that time. I had just got in the nation, so we was in Compton. We was at the mosque on Long Beach Boulevard and Compton Boulevard when that was going down. Protecting, the community. Some
What you
things
could.
over there.
Yeah.
But as far as homies, we were the influence. It's just like almost how it is right now. It was no entertainer or rapper or actor or football player. It wasn't no black celebrities that was doing nothing. We was the leaders at that point because they know how to lead and control corporate media propaganda type of stuff. Or they not even leaders. They might be puppets or whatever. We was out there at that point leading because of the spirit of injustice or justice that we were seeking. So it wasn't no leader like that.
Well, you know what? The truth that the masses don't understand, that they don't realize at the core of our anger, is that Rodney King was an example of what was going on in our community under the blue code, that we're not going to tell on each other, but we're going to take those brothers in the alley and whoop them worse than Rodney. Kill their dog, put them in their enemy's territory, take their shoes, and leave them to figure out how they're going to get home. So that was a common practice with LAPD in those days. And that's when we got to see the way they did Rodney, and Rodney was not from our neighborhood. That boy was a Valley child.
No, actually,
Okay.
Pasadena, Altadena.
Pasadena, Altadena, but he wasn't South LA.
Right, no, he
That's the
wasn't
point
South.
I'm trying to make.
And trust
But
me, it's a
South
difference.
Yes, it is. And South
It's a
LA
big
brothers was
difference.
going through that beating all the time
Right.
without any recourse. Nobody defending them.
Right.
Nobody looking out for them. But when we saw that video, it's like now the brothers thought, well, we're going to get some justice. This is going to stop.
Right,
Well, we thought the video was going to make a difference.
We thought.
right.
Yes.
And they told us that what we saw on tape was not the truth.
We
Don't
didn't see
believe
what
it,
we saw.
you know. So we in the community, black communities, know that's business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's normally what goes on, the relations with the police department, you know. So the tape was supposed to, you know, confirm all this, right? Which it didn't do, so, you know, we were upset. I was upset. You know, I'm still upset.
Well, and me too. Me too. I'm going to admit I'm still angry. I'm not going
I
to
mean,
lie
you know,
about
and they're
that.
trying to, you know, whitewash this or
Yeah.
lace it as though, you know, it isn't what it is. It's a black and white issue, whether you accept it or reject it. That's what it is.
It's not. It's a black law enforcement issue.
Oh, well,
Nah,
Okay.
it's a black and white issue because
Yeah.
law enforcement was established to keep the slaves and
Right.
the black slaves in check.
Exactly.
Well, Dave was here last week and asked us to give him a chance, okay?
Right,
And
no,
so
but-
I don't want to put that blanket on all of them when really our war was with LAPD. And that's something that was in place in
That's-
65
that-
too.
That's
But
the
see, there's,
system.
there's,
now.
there's
to-
a Florence and Normandy.
not
There's
to
a
even
Florence and Normandy
disrespect.
in every
Not
city
even
and
in
state.
I disagree. That's just because that localizes us and that divides us like the struggle is just an LA struggle.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is a black people
Right,
in America.
it really
struggle.
is.
It is.
Because you got to imagine, you know, I can't imagine Mississippi or Alabama,
Right.
rural areas
Yeah.
in Mississippi or Alabama. I know that in order to save my children, I'd have to, yes sir, no sir,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that I don't,
You're
so
right.
because I
You're
would be
right.
standing out there by myself. So
You're
what
right.
happens with LAPD or any major law enforcement agency, and even the smaller ones, is there's a system in place,
Yeah.
and
Right.
and it may not be just that one officer, or it may not be just that one prosecutor, but it is a system in place that supports the negative interaction with them.
Well,
they're
Daryl
not being
Gates was the
charged.
face of that system in that time, and he was proud of it, and he wanted you to know that he was going to stay his ground. They tried to get rid of him. He said, no, I'm not leaving.
Right.
Yeah, even that, I disagree with that because Daryl Gates couldn't have represented that if his officers didn't agree with that same mentality. That's just like we can't blame Hitler for the Holocaust. Hitler was a little 5 foot something little dude, so he would never been able to pull that off unless his whole army agreed with his idea.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that's what.
So then it's a
Gates'
group
army.
of people who agree.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a group of people who agree with each other,
Yes.
and that's what the system of law enforcement. First of all, when we talk about enforcement, there is nothing positive that can come from enforcement. What that means is that you do not believe the community can
Right.
handle themselves, take care of themselves, provide resources for each other. So we are going to invest in people who can get it together for. That's like coming in your home. Like, sister, I'm gonna come in your home and I'm gonna provide enforcement. You know, I mean, for real, that's what I'm gonna provide, because I don't think you could do it yourself. How would you feel about that? Especially when I tell you, well, your door isn't locked, I'm gonna give you a ticket. The
that's the way it was.
the garage does not have the appropriate whatever, so I'm gonna fine you for that, and I'm gonna look for reasons to victimize you
That's
in your
the way
own home. And
LAPD has always been.
so
That's
let me
been their
ask this
history.
question. Let me ask y'all this question. I'm gonna ask you too, Cam. So if I tell you that there's a young lady who's beating the dog out of, hit me with a skillet, stabbed me with a fork, and I'm in an abusive relationship and I'm scared that I might die, would you tell me to work it out?
No.
Would you tell me to work it out?
No.
If I tell you I'm fearful for my life, I'm actually fearful for my children, would you, every day when I wake up, I'm afraid, what would you tell me to do about that relationship?
You have to
Get
live
out
with
of
it.
it.
Get out of it. So this is the relationship that we in the black community are having with law enforcement. And so
Yeah.
many people are saying we have to work it out. You have to learn how to talk. You have to work together. But if I tell you that was my woman, you tell me I need to move, right?
Right, yeah.
You know, we have tried to get along when it's been impossible to make happen. And nothing has changed for us. That's why a couple of us in here, at least a few of us, are still angry today.
Right.
Because
who should we, not to cut you out, see, I agree with you, but we actually should be angry with ourselves for thinking that they going to change.
yeah,
Exactly.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's an abusive relationship.
Yes,
y'all.
it is.
This is domestic violence.
Yes, it is worse. It
That
is
is
worse. But, truthfully, as a people, we're just trying to find solutions. We're really
That's
trying
right.
to find solutions that'll work for us.
That's right.
See,
That's
so
right.
this
Like
is
you
what
said,
your
I think that-
voices are supposed to bring to this forum.
I'm kind of like, I'm out of solutions. I mean,
Out of
this
them.
is ridiculous.
Well, the only solution, Kiki, the only solution we ain't ever tried is separation.
Yeah, exactly. You see, I'm
know
all
what I'm
for
saying?
Yeah, I
I'm
am
all
too.
for that.
I
So
am
where
too.
we going?
You know,
Montana, Wyoming?
I mean,
where we
no,
going? We taking
it-
one of the
it-
Dakotas?
No, it's not necessarily that first. First exodus, like in the Bible, is mental.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop relying on them. Stop looking to them for something. You know what I'm saying? And look to ourselves for
Right.
it. Put pool our resources and our dollars and support our, our businesses, support our community, police our community, care for our community. Stop calling them. Why call them
But see,
when you know they want to kill us?
They
Yeah.
interfere. They're going to interfere. They interfere.
Yeah.
They infiltrate.
They're gonna
They
kill
investigate.
somebody.
They do everything to thwart whatever we do. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
They're
If
gonna
we
kill
don't allow
somebody.
them, I mean, if we don't include them, then
Right.
we're anti or
We already that.
Oh yeah,
You already
Yeah,
know
definitely,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, they already say we that.
Yeah. So.
Well, and I'm going to apologize. I have been solution driven and trying to find ways to work this out, make it work better for us. And I don't like to say anything that I've done has been a failure. But
Well, see, that's just
what
it.
I will
We're-
say,
we're always
we
trying to
made
make
the
solutions,
effort.
but they're not.
Yeah, well, we made the effort, and we're not getting the results we look for. So I'm looking for us to figure out what we as a people need to do. That's the most important thing right now on our agenda is what do we do for ourselves? And
right.
frankly, they're the reason Black Lives Matter has to matter. And it has to matter across this country, really. And we have to empower ourselves. This is what's missing. We don't have the power we need to make change.
I believe we do. I believe that some people are not ready to unplug. So about
Okay.
2 weeks ago, I'm at
Okay.
Community Coalition. I'm speaking to a group of people, and I'm saying the same thing Cam is saying. I ain't even talked to him. I don't know that he was thinking the same thing I'm thinking, right? That we have to break away,
Yeah.
that this system works.
Yeah.
This system that's in place, it works. It works fine. They have no problem with the system. The system does not work for us because it wasn't designed for us.
It
It was
works
designed to
against us.
suppress us.
Right.
It was designed to do exactly what it's doing to us.
Right.
And it's working perfect.
Yeah.
So I believe we have to disconnect from this system.
Completely.
And we have to create our own systems. And the system is that if I want a burger, I'm going to your stand. If I want to buy my kids clothes, I'm going to
Yeah.
your store. I have to do that. I don't care if it's in Compton, Gardena,
Yeah.
where it is, but I
Yeah.
have to support you. They have in Atlanta this thing that they call cash mobs. So my daughter lives in Atlanta, and she said, we're going to do a cash mob while you out here. And I'm thinking, what is that? All of her friends took $30, and they got all their friends, and everybody got $30. And we went to a black store, and everybody spent their money with that black store. And this is so that we can support the black business. And then next week, they're going to do another store, and the owners of that store got to bring their $30 too, and their people. So they might have made $3,000 that day, but they're going to reinvest, and we're going to keep investing in each other. That is how we support each other, and that's how we start. When we can start buying land, we can start doing other things. So
Sir.
I agree with that because part of our frustration in '92, we didn't own any businesses. We were giving our money to strangers that didn't live in our community, didn't respect the nickels that we shared to keep their businesses open. They didn't respect us as a people.
do you
we
know
were just,
why? Because the system told them they didn't have to.
The
so
system told them they didn't
so the
have to,
system
yeah.
that told the
Yeah.
lady who killed Latasha Harlins,
Harlins,
the
okay.
system told
Yep.
them that if you do this, we are going to put you in jail and slap you on the hand and give you a $5,000 fine. You'll
We're
be
not
on
even
5
gonna
years
put you in
probation.
jail.
No, they put her in jail for like a week or two.
A week.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
Protective
is,
custody?
but me
You
or
mean
somebody
protective
else,
custody?
we would have went to prison for
Yeah.
at least
Absolutely.
a manslaughter.
If the police didn't
Right.
come and shoot you and take you to the morgue.
Right.
Okay, see, so these are the options that we've experienced. And I also was reminded about Eula Love, the mother that was killed over a $22 gas bill.
Yes.
Are you
Right.
serious?
Yes.
You see, and with justification. As I said, the 4 young men killed last summer, justified. And we're not going to discuss it with you. But
Right.
you've left 4 families damaged with no answer, no recourse, and what are we doing for them? You see, so when Skipp says the system isn't meant for us, how can we make ourselves understand that and start to look internally? See, because this is what I was hoping after 92, we would open those stores ourselves.
Right. Sister, can we go to a break real quick? We have time for a break, and I want to make sure that
Go ahead.
Cam, can you stay, brother, or do you have to go?
Yeah. No, I'm here. I'm here for a few.
All right. So I don't know if you could hear, but Stevie Wonder's going to talk about setting us free,
Being free,
being free,
like the river.
like the river. Kiki and Bull, this is about them.
Well, God bless you, community family, and welcome back to Gang Talk. We're happy you're listening because it's a painful, troubling conversation that we're having that, you know, we still feel the effects of in 2017, and we have to be honest about it. I can't go around lying about my emotions to people that don't care, and in the bigger picture just don't matter. Because if you don't understand the black experience, you probably never will. And so we give you the freedom to move, okay? But don't stay here and try to smooth us when you don't mean it. So that's a reality check that we have. 92 is still a vivid memory for all of us. I remember where I was when that verdict was read, and it was almost as if it was just a few years ago. So welcome back, and thank you for being involved.
Yes, indeed, sister. And I want to do something real quick. I'm going to call it a PSA, a public service announcement, that during the time of the civil uprising, a lot of people saw and heard about the peace treaty that was going on. It started in Watts.
Right.
We have Cam on the phone who actually did a song addressing the peace treaty in a video. But a lot of people are giving other people credit. They're denying it, saying it didn't happen. They're saying it happened because of the Rodney King verdict or the Rodney King beating. But I just want to say that there was a young man named Henry Pico, and Henry Pico was killed by an undercover officer in the Imperial Courts Projects. And this was in 1991. So when Henry Pico was killed, the conversation started because Dwayne Holmes went to the Jordan Down Projects. His mother came out, found out that her son had left, and she thought he was going to be violent, do something wrong, so she went looking for him and found him surrounded by Jordan Down community members talking about peace. So it was a lot of people before that. I want to say Minister Tony Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, Ron Brown, the ex-football players, Jim Brown, the ex-football player, a lot of people who had already started planting the seeds of peace.
Right.
But this was the point where they said enough is enough.
That's it.
Because the undercover officer had on jeans starched up, had on some biscuits, had on a hoodie and a beanie. So they were like, how would we know that you're the police?
Right.
So Henry's walking home. He just want to go home. And he see this dude. He looking like, what's happening? He pull his thing. The dude pull his, shoot him. And then he brings out his badge and said he was in fear for his life. So he had to kill Henry Pico. And it's wrong. But let me tell you what happened. When I heard the story about 5 years ago, it was the 20th anniversary of the peace treaty. And it's a room full of people. And when I say people, I mean all the activists, people from Watts, people from the city. And when Dwayne Holmes told that story, no one interrupted, no one coughed, no one said anything. And he said it wouldn't have happened had it not been for two sides wouldn't agree. Tony Bogart and a guy named Cedric. And a guy named Bull from 5 Trey Avalon actually said, let me deal with it. And he put both of those guys in his apartment and said, I don't care what y'all do. Y'all could argue, you could fight, but you're not going to kill each other, and you're not going to leave here till we agree that there's going to be peace in these two communities. And when he said that, the power in what they did was not challenged by anybody. And let me tell you, a lot of people in the rooms, Mark and Perry Crouch, Dr. Crouch, I want to name everybody, Sister Soldier.
Right. Powerful.
There were powerful people who were there, who were part of it, and they did not say that it was wrong. So I said at that point right there, I will always tell this story because I don't want others to start talking about what they did and leave out the part that Tony Bogart and Cedric had actually shot each other and had this personal beef. And because of these two not agreeing to it, it never would have happened had Bull not pulled them together and made sure it happened. So eventually we lost Tony Bogart. He was killed about 3 or 4 years after the peace treaty. But I just want to give credit to Bull. I know he's on his way, so if he doesn't make it in time, I want to say that this is historical on why it happened. It had absolutely nothing to do with Rodney King. It had absolutely nothing to do with the verdict, that the peace treaty was about us coming together. Because when pure common sense don't bring us together, then the conditions that we're in, the conditions we're living in, sometimes will force us together. And like that word I was trying to find, telepathically, just at the same time, let's snap. Y'all ready to trip? Come on, let's trip.
And then it sounds like timing has a lot to do with that as well.
Yes, sir.
You know, both communities was tired.
Yeah.
Right.
So enough was enough.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And it was good that those brothers did step up like they did.
Right. So you stepped up too, brother. You stepped up. Let me tell you when you stepped up. You stepped up when you chose not to be a detriment to the community. And what was that like? What was that about when, just growing up and being more so about a family man, more so about wanting to be a positive role model and not actually being a thug that a lot of people thought you were, bro?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not an activist. I'm not a community leader. I'm just another brother like anybody else. You know, Skipp, just trying to live my life and raise my family and do the right things. You know what I'm saying? And I never expected. I didn't choose this. Maybe, it chose me, maybe. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an extra kind of cat, man. I don't live my life like that. I don't walk around with my head up. I'm just a regular dude, you know what I'm saying? And I guess fate brought this about. So I had to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I believed in the movement. I believe in my people. And if I have to stand up, then so be it. I'll be accounted for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
you think you were picked out to be picked on? You think God chose you, brother?
I think so.
Yes, sir.
I think you got a sense of humor.
It does say he laughs. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
God has laughs.
I mean, what can I say, y'all? I can't run from it. I got to run to it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I think that is the leaders and the role models, the ones that's just trying to be regular men. They're just trying to be men. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that's the media and this whole Hollywood groupie culture and all of this then changed the code. We ain't even living by no black manhood code no more.
Exactly.
So somebody that's just trying to be a regular stand-up man, that is a needle in a haystack. That is a leader.
Right.
That is a star. That is a celebrity. And now that we got social media and your face can be known like that, that is God telling you gotta take your own name and likeness for what he used you for, which is historic, and build on it. Use that as a platform. Don't be humble not humble. Don't be too passive to where like our code. Like I made kind of that mistake myself. Like I wasn't ever gonna ride no another man's.
Yeah, you said that in the song too, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But that little code, that little proud code, stopped me from hindered me from making a lot of progress that I could have made, because I didn't want to look like I was riding another man's, whatever. You know what I mean? But you are a God. We all guys, men and women, children of the Most High. So He don't make no regular stuff. We ain't regular and mediocre or nothing like that. So you got to stand up and be the full you.
Can I add something in here? Because I've seen the greatest harm to our people is the division among us. Okay, and Kawisi, young man from Kentucky, clued me into something that I hadn't looked at that way, that assimilation wasn't really intended for us to be included. It was intended for us to become like them.
Right.
There's a big difference in being included and changing your agenda to become somebody else. And I see that brought in the division between us as a people, pitted us against each other for success, fame, fortune.
Yeah.
Excuse me. All kinds of things where we forsaken, whatever you say, our fellowship and our brotherhood and in our men. And the most disturbing part about that antisocial agenda was to divide our men, to kill them off, to imprison them, to divide our community, and cost our women
Right.
cost us our fathers, cost us our brothers, cost us our sons.
Right.
You see, and so that's the thing that still keeps me angry. And that's the part I'm waiting camp. Not waiting's not the right word, because actually I'm excited. I feel an awakening happening in us. We finally realizing it's ours to fix. If the system's not going to work for us, then we have to find a way.
No, we have to create our own system. This relationship is not working.
It's not working.
So I have to stop, evaluate where I am. Now, is my self-esteem so low that I want to assimilate another man, like you said, Cam? Do I want to ride this man's nuts, or do I want to say, you know what? I am perfect in my existence. I'm perfect in my existence. I'm perfect in my space and where I'm at. So let me. Even when we talk about education, so we talk about education, and why do I need to be validated by a MBA or a PhD by this system when do I have my own creative talent that makes me just as educated as these individuals?
Skip, can I make this a little more simplified? My desire is to take the glamour off of Prison Orange. Stop glorifying that. I'm not a man unless I've been locked up. You see, and we have glamorized that, and we've got our young men thinking, well, I ain't hard unless I've done some time. And that's the part that we sacrificed. The nobility in who our men were, they turned you into convicts. See, and profit for privatized prisons and filling up the cemeteries and making money for everybody but us. We can't even own a 99-cent store on our own corner, but we can fill up Inglewood Cemetery, really, and pay the mortician, really. Right. See,
that comes back. It comes back to the power of the media and these people that control the media.
But you know what? We have the power of our voice. And what the sad thing, and I hate to say it this way, some of us sold out. We sold out for the media because they were giving us big bucks to send the wrong message. Right. Yeah. Will you agree with that?
That definitely was one. But that's what I'm saying. Even right now, media is still the key factor. Communication, mass communication is the factor. And what you said earlier about whether you believe in the Bible or not, we fulfilling the prophecy of the children of Israel. We the enslaved for 400 years in a strange land and strange people. Yes. And they saw that we was multiplying, so they said kill the males and spare the females. That's why we in that condition. This is all prophecy. This is all fulfillment of prophecy. So just as real as we fulfill that, it's a Moses and an Aaron on scene. In my opinion, that fulfills those two roles as well, and that Exodus is just as real too.
Yes.
We're not here to integrate with Pharaoh and the Egyptians. We're here to come out of them.
Yes. Yes.
We done served our 400 years with them. And you're gonna get them plagues and them curses, and you're gonna get wiped out with them. But if we separate from them mentally first, stop relying on them mentally, get the mark of the beast out of our forehead, which is just their mentality. The mark of the beast just means white folks' mentality. Get out of white folks' mentality and rely and fall back in love with yourself. Yes. Yourself and your own kind.
And we have to become that village that we cared about ourselves too. Right. Because my thing is the biggest death to the black family was welfare. The biggest stake in the heart of the black family was welfare and the rules that we'll give your mom the baby and the mama the cheese, but daddy, you got to go.
Well, I don't know if it was welfare or the
It
mentality.
was a beginning. It was a
Right.
beginning, Skip.
But
the
still
whole
there's a
point of that
mentality.
system was to get you out of the family.
But did I buy into the system?
To feed your kids? Yes. A lot of black men that couldn't get jobs under segregation left. So mom could get that check and feed his babies. Okay? And it was a manhood that he sacrificed for that. You see, and this was the difference in those generations. Black men that had a trade and a skill, they stayed. The brothers untrained that lost their jobs, that were struggling with segregation, we're not going to hire you because of your color. You see, how could they feed their families? You see, so these men were caught, and it was a city manufacturer. They weren't given welfare in the country because the farmer had crops. You see,
Right.
he
So
had
that's
a
what I'm saying.
livelihood.
So for me, it was a choice because, and once again, I'm going to quote Kawisi, that,
Okay.
they're out in Kentucky and
Yes.
they're taught how to farm. So, the reason why they have 14, 15 kids was because I need that help on my
You need
farm.
I
I need to have boys. I need
Yes.
to go get these eggs. I need to go get these cows in.
Yeah.
I need to even the swine. I need to get the swine back in their little box.
That's
whatever
the way
it is.
every farm worked.
Right.
White folks had kids for the same reason.
So here's the thing. So why would I give up raising my children to be men and girls to be girls by wanting to move and work for somebody else? So in our culture, let me tell you what we're taught. We're taught to get this education and get a good education so you can get a good job and take care of your family. But what that means is get an education and go to work for a corporation and help them become billionaires and not take the time to leave a financial legacy for my family. Let me tell you, the Ketchup people, the Shrivers, the Kennedys, they have a financial legacy.
Yes.
The Rothschilds, they have a financial legacy. The Rockefellers have a financial legacy. So they're leaving the financial, even the Trump, Donald Duck did nothing to get that money. His daddy got the money.
Yes,
So they
he
leave
did.
a financial legacy. What legacy do we leave each other? What did Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X leave? And as far as legacy, they are now in the history books, but their children were not well off at all. There was no financial nothing to leave them, to leave to the next
The only thing
generation.
they left was their words, okay? And you even said yourself, Dr. King felt that he had led us into a burning building.
Right.
Now we can see that. But at the time, we were just asking for equality. We were asking for a right to work, okay? Because that's what controlled the country. And really, in the South, they had a better understanding of what they needed to do. But it's people that left the South and moved to the city that found out what unemployment means, found out what separation and segregation really means. And here, coming for hope and promise, they found out we're not going to hire you. We're not going to hire you. And so this is what gave a foothold for welfare to come in and break the back of the black families. And I'm just quoting that as a part. Not the whole reason, but a small part. It didn't affect the South as much as it did those that migrated to the North.
Yeah, that's
And the
part
West.
of the deception. That's part of the deception. Like
Thank
it
you.
all boiled down to we can call it. We can be scared to call. I'm in a nation of Islam, so they the devil. That's the real devil. It's not no ghost. It's not no spook. It's not no spirit. It's not no magical invisible force or entity. It's the Caucasian race, and this is not a derogatory term. This is a scientific term that they came out of us. So obviously we got devil in us. You know what I mean? So, but my point is, even in the South where we had land and all of that, they deceived us with sharecropping. They
Yes.
deceived us and making us think that it was better in the city, in the big city, and
Yes.
they missing out on something in this slow ass country. Bumped
Yes.
so they'll sell you a dream and a lie and make you think you're gonna go to the Wizard of Oz while they take your country land. Now once you get to Oz and you find out that that's some BS, and now you done sold them your land for peanuts.
Yes.
Now you out there stuck.
Yes, yes.
And that's how you're dealing with the devil. These people are the devil.
So that system,
You know what I mean?
that system, yes.
But that doesn't discount our responsibility to ourselves.
But
Okay,
now, how can you be
we
responsible
know.
if you don't know.
But we
you're not
do
familiar,
know.
the African. No, I'm saying. Well, we shouldn't even be having this conversation then, because we shouldn't be angry, because if we know, like I said, we should be angry at ourselves then. We shouldn't be angry at them.
Well, I'm looking for solutions for us to lift ourselves up. This
I mean,
is
that's
really,
what we're talking about.
yeah,
That's what we're talking
lifting
about.
ourselves
The solution
up.
is knowing your enemy.
Right.
That's the solution.
Right. And knowing myself.
Yeah.
Knowing myself. So clear awareness of myself will lead to better management of my life.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So if I am taught to get this education and go to work for somebody else, what am I being taught? I'm taught to be a hard worker. I'm not taught to be an entrepreneur. I'm not taught to grow my own plants. I'm not taught to how to use seeds properly.
You're still a slave.
Right, I'm still a
slave
slave.
to somebody's paycheck.
And I just get
And they
$30, $40.
determine how
Right.
many dollars go on that check,
Right.
and you're grateful to get that on the 1st and the 15th.
Right.
You see, we've
Right.
lost our sense of independence. This is the trouble that I have, and what we've lost our independence, and they've not only taken that, but they've taken our men too.
Right.
You know, it's
Okay, so I
Come
want to
on.
know. So that goes back to your question. Right?
come on.
How do we get rid of this relationship then?
Oh yeah, actually, y'all left me in a relationship. You too, Cam. Y'all. How do I get out of it?
You can't. We have to take care of ourselves in spite of it. That's the point.
It's
No, you
abusive.
can't get out of it.
It
It's
is
abusive,
but
and I'm scared for my life. Remember, I told y'all that I'm scared for my children.
those
and I'm
4 young men last year, their life
Right.
is over.
So-
you see, and we didn't make a sound about that. We let them kill our 4 young men and no outrage because we feel powerless. This is what's bothering me. Why are we just giving up our power?
So
and
look
taking
what
it?
happened. Look what happened 25 years ago.
Oh.
During this abusive relationship, when all those emotions boiled out, and then the displaced anger came out on 71st.
It wasn't displaced.
No, it was displaced because it came out on 71st and Normandy, and then it manifested to Florence and Normandy. So now this displaced anger came,
It was
and I'm not
displaced
even
all
tripping.
over the place.
I'm not even tripping on the one I'm really mad at. Y'all get that?
Right.
I've taken this for so long that I start tripping on anybody who don't look like me,
Yeah.
but the people
Yeah.
who I'm really mad at done
Yeah.
took the little homie to jail and they gone.
They're gone.
They
They're
gone, and they won't even come back outside. So now I'm just gonna take it out on everybody else who I ever had a problem with. So this bottled up emotion
Yeah.
is 25 years ago, and that was 27 years after 65. So if we gonna do this every 27 years, we got 2 more years to get this right. We got 2 years to get this right, or else it's gonna happen again.
I'm not tearing up my community.
But
again.
so how do we
No.
get out this relationship? We only got about 5 minutes left. So how do we get out this relationship? Because we don't have much time left. Because you know why? Because some of these young people, they never experienced 92. Just like
Yeah.
in 92, I didn't experience 65.
Yeah.
So this is going to be new to me.
And
You know
I
how many of
saw
these
both
young
of
kids, it's new to them. The Cornell Snell Juniors, it's
Man.
new to him. You know, these young people are getting shot by police for their friends. It's new to them.
They're the ones we need to empower how for them to survive. How do we build their life that they become survivors? So I want you to answer that. Come on, son. You had a daddy, your father, husband, father with children. You know you have some answers in there. For these young men, for the young brothers.
Wow.
Come on, you too, Cam. I want y'all to give
Yeah,
them a word of
it's-
hope.
What was the question?
What are we going to tell our young men on what it means to be a black man now?
It's a war on black men.
I know.
Yeah, it's war.
It's a
and
war.
It's war time, and you got this Kiki, it is what it is. It's clear that it's an all-out war waged on us. So it's not racist if you're teaching your child, especially your young black male,
They've been teaching and preaching hate.
Yeah, I'm not scared. Like these youths right here, they not scared. Like they're gonna go all the way. You know what I'm saying?
But they go all the way
Our
with you
generation was
too.
scared.
See, that's the trouble. I'm looking for the unification in our brothers to say to the young homies, don't go fill that jail cell. Stop giving them free money off of your your blood and your back. You see, that's the message we need to be sending them, whether we sing it to them, whether we stand on the corner and shout to them. But if we're going to get out of this system, that's the first place to start. Stop giving them our free blood and our life and money off of that caught in that cell?
I mean, like I said, the system is already designed to capture us.
Exactly.
But we don't have to go.
Well, then, like I said, it's gonna be bloodshed. It's gonna be just a race war then, because if everybody resists with arms or with a knife or whatever, they're gonna kill you anyway.
You're talking about insurrection. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about a mindset. A mindset. I'm not going to be. I'm not gonna go to prison. My homies, we ain't going to prison. We're not gonna live that lifestyle. We're not gonna change the orange jumpsuit. We're not gonna chase it.
Yes. Life don't work like that, because you can teach your son exactly what to say, and that's not going to stop one of these pigs from coming and violating him.
What? Look,
hold on.
we had a show last week about know your rights. Know your rights.
When he resists, when your son resists, no matter how much you tell him, avoid the jail, his own manhood, his own survival instinct of self-preservation is going to make him take off on that police that's trying to take off on him, and your son going to wind up dead or in jail anyway. So I'd rather him be dead for standing up like a man than being a punk to try to avoid going to jail.
No, you're not understanding me.
Yeah,
you're not. See, because my whole thing is don't give him a reason to stop you.
Oh, no.
They don't need a reason. You're black.
Right. So I get that part. I get the part when you say that, sister, now I understand what Cam is saying. I was like, where's this going? But, so they don't need a reason. And Sergeant Woodall, who's, I want to say, very open and forthright, says that when he was a gang officer, when he worked crash, that the one time that really stands out to him when he saw somebody walking down the street and he said, hey, come here. And the dude kept walking. And he said, man, you didn't hear me? Get your ass over here. And he kept walking. Mm-hmm. So Woodall said he got out the car and just immediately grabbed him by the neck, threw him down, hit him like 2-3 times. Yeah. And then he found out he was deaf and dumb. He was a mute. Yeah. And he said, oh, yeah, well, you'll be all right, man. He started dusting him off and said, yeah, go ahead, man, you'll be okay. And that I'm glad he's honest, and he would say that in trainings because that was their practice. So now I don't want to speak for Cam, but what I'm hearing is that I could teach my son whatever I want to teach him, but things like that'll happen. Yeah. I know I'm gonna say it again. Raynetta Green, matter of fact, Cam, come out your area, come out of Watts. Raynetta Green is doing her 14th year for a crime she didn't commit. So is Maurice Carroll. He's on his 17th year for Warren Goodman did 18 years, crimes they didn't commit. So that could happen to my child, your child, his child. Yeah. And so we could teach them whatever, but the system is so wrong that not that they were wrongly arrested, they were wrongly convicted and wrongly sentenced. So look at that whole system right there. Sent away, and they had nothing to do with it.
They had nothing to do. So where's the justice in that? And if we're going to talk justice, 400 years of slavery, they didn't pick you specifically because, that's Skipp right there, or that's Kiki, or that's such and such.
You're expecting justice from somebody here that doesn't expect justice. We're a just us.
You was innocent for 400 years. So
how do we change our circumstance? That's the bottom line I want to get to. I don't want to talk about his system anymore. I want us to free ourselves from that notion that we have no choice.
Right.
I believe we do have a choice, and I'm looking for our men to stand up and surround our village and say we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to find a way to fight back.
I'm in an organization called the Nation of Islam that's been in existence since 1930 with the best track record of doing exactly that in the history of North America. So I would respectfully submit that as the solution, the best solution.
Yes, sir. So leave us with something, Cam. Is there anything you want to leave the people who are listening? We're about to wrap up in a second. So what would you tell the people who are listening?
Just to take advantage like what we're doing now. We're not always going to agree because it is a generational gap, unfortunately. And the older
He just called you old, sister. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The older ones is for counsel, and the younger ones is for war.
Right, yeah, you're right. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's about knowledge itself. Teaching the youth, like you said, Skipp, a knowledge of themselves, knowledge of the enemy, and knowledge of the time that we live in and what must be done, which is separate from Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Separate from white America mentally first, and then economically, and then physically.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Brother Kiki. What do you lead the people with this evening, brother?
Well, I believe in each one, teach one.
There it is.
And as far as little black brothers and sisters, you know, we got to give them their blackness, man. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We got to make sure that they get the blackness that they really
That's
deserve, and quit watering it down, and
That's right.
you know, making them think that black isn't beautiful.
Right.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? You know,
Their black is beautiful.
Exactly.
They are okay.
You know,
they
so,
do have a right to
yes,
live and survive and do it
So,
well.
You know, I want them to look in the mirror and be happy with what they see.
Yes.
That's
Yes, that's what we want to.
I want them to keep their head to the sky.
Yeah.
Thank you, Skip.
Our brother's
Thank you,
been
sister.
singing stuff in the music forever.
Thank you, brother.
Cam,
for
thank you, boss.
coming. Thank you, Cam.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Cam. Brother come through all the time, just like you, Kiki.
Yeah.